everyone, this is Lori from the Crafting Auntie. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome, and if you've been with me for a while, welcome back. I'm doing a design team project for Polka Art Studio, and I'm using a couple of gorgeous kits of theirs, Home for Christmas and Victorian Christmas. So I've created a rounded spine, but also elastic bound. However, you won't see the elastic on the outside because I've made it as a hidden spine. I was playing around one day and I was making a journal for a friend who requested one, and she wanted to have the elastic bound, but she also liked the rounded spine. So I came up with this process, and so I'm going to show you how to do the rounded spine, how I put this together, how I do the front and the back, and added the closure, and then I did some decorating and made this tassel on my own. But during the flip through, I will show you the whole entire project. So come along with me and let's get started. Okay, so let's start with the spines. So you're going to need two pieces, and both of them are pretty close in size. So we have 4.5 inches, and on the outside spine we're going to leave 1 inch, and on the inside spine we're going to leave like 1.1/8 inch, and that way it will go into the outside spine nicely. And so what I did is I scored at 1 inch on the outside spine on either side, and then 1/8 of an inch all the way across, and that's what gives us this nice rounding without having to fold it or crease it. And it's the same thing with this one, only I did 1.1/8 on each side, so this will fit nicely in here once we get this together. And then they are the same height as the journal. So the journal is 8 3/4 by 6, and so this is 8 3/4. And then you'll just need a piece of muslin for each one, and I've just made them just a little bit longer. They don't have to be exactly the right size width-wise, but at least this way we want them longer because we're going to be folding this over. And once we get it into the actual journal, then when we fold this over, it will look much nicer. So what I'm going to do now is on both of these, I'm going to put them on with glue stick. Once the glue stick is dry, then I'm going to iron it on, and that seems to really give it a good secure. I learned this from another gal on YouTube, and it does seem to work. So I'll be using this Scotch permanent glue stick, and once it's dry, then I'm going to be ironing it. So all you really need to do is take your glue stick and glue the fabric on. So and then press it down. And it doesn't really matter if you have a little more on one side than you do the other as far as the top and the bottom. That's not going to make a difference. So let me just add a little bit more here so I get these ends down. And then I'm going to let this dry, and then I'm going to iron it. And it doesn't have to be a super hot iron. It's just enough to help it just to stay on here nicely. Let's see, when you have your spine, see how nice that looks? So I'm going to do the same thing on this. I'm going to let them dry, and then I'm going to come back to you, and we're going to do a little bit of stamping on the outside spine. Okay, I have ironed these so they're dry. And I did the inside one as well. So we're just going to work with the outside one at the moment. So all I did was angle all 4 sides and angle a little bit of the fabric, and I cut some of this off. So the only thing I want to do right now is ink up these edges here. And so what I have done is I had some scrapbook paper, so I covered front and back with this. And then these will go here like that. And then I have some pieces to go on top that I'm layering. So some of it is scrapbook paper, and then the top piece is from Polka Art. So it's just going to be layered like this. But before I put these on, I also want to put a closure. So the first thing that I want to do, I've inked all these. These are ready to go, but I want to stamp on this. And so I have some red ink, and I have a couple of stamps that I thought might be fun to use. These are some older Stampin' Up! Stamps that I've had forever. So I thought maybe I could put a few stamps on here. So maybe that with this and maybe a deer. Just something on the spine. And then I'm not going to add leather like I have done before, because I just decided that for Christmas we'll not do that. So all I'm going to do is make a few stamps on this spine before I get it all put together. Just use whatever you have. These are stamps I've had forever. Perfect. Okay, so now that we've got that done, a little decoration. I'll clean these after I'm done here. So set these aside. And now we can glue our front and back covers. So all I'm going to do is glue one to each side. And then we'll put a closure on, and then we can put all the layers on top. So all we're going to do is glue this on. I'm using the Fabri-Tac because it works the best for securing these. And after I get this glued on, I am just going to let these dry really well. And what's nice about the rounded spine is they lay flat, and then you've got that rounding of the spine so that all the pages, it just looks like a regular book. So it lays nicely, easy to write in, and with the elastic binding, you could take your pages out and you can put them back in, or you can just change them all together. Okay, so got this all set. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and glue on my pieces front and back, but before I do that, I have some pieces here of ribbon that I thought would look fun together. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our closure done. So I'm just made a little mark where I want this, and I'll just use my Fabri-Tac and add some glue, and then we'll just glue each piece on top of each other here, and then they'll flow. I got to thinking about it, and I think that them flowing would be much nicer. So let's just, maybe I'll put one up here and then one a little bit lower. Okay, so this is my front, so I want to go ahead and at least get this piece put on, and that'll hold all those ribbons in place. So I'm just going to continue with the Fabri-Tac. I made this just a little bit smaller than the blue. I wanted it to have multiple colors that are on the actual piece that I'm putting on top of here. Perfect. Okay, now I want to make sure that this dries really well. So I'm just going to carefully set this aside, and then we'll work on putting on the eyelets and the elastic and our pages. So I have all the signatures already put together. I just took time to do that so I didn't waste it on here. So I have 4 signatures, and I've added some additional paper, so during the flip through you will see all of that. So this will all fit in here nicely. So because I don't want the elastic to cut into the pages, I have 4 signatures, and I'm just going to space these out. Okay, so I have enough markings here, so I'm going to take my crocodile. Now I have these white eyelets, and typically if I was going to be putting this on the outside, I would make sure to put this side to the outside, but because I'm putting them inside, I want the pretty side to show here, because you're not going to see back here. We're going to be gluing this down. So let's just go ahead, and I'm going to use my crocodile. I'm going to use the large setting, and I'm just going to center these. Oops. Run away. Okay, so now let's do the other side. Okay, so I'm going to use white elastic, and we're going to just start getting our pages in. And it really doesn't matter, just make sure they're the right size, but if you happen to goof up a little bit, it's at least fixable. So I'm going to come from behind the first one, and up through, and then bring this behind and cut a piece off. Let's just go ahead and cut a piece. And then come up through the bottom one. So all your elastic will be behind. So once this is glued in, you won't see it at all. So let's just line this up. And I always say, just do the best you can. You know, this is junk journaling. And doesn't have to have complete perfection. Okay, so there's our first signature. Super easy to put in. So let's just cut a piece. Oh, I got this. There we go. That looks about right. Let me cut 2 more. I don't mind if they're a little long, just as long as they're not too short. So let's go ahead and just do that, and then I'll have all my pieces. So you're just going to do basically the same thing that you would do if you've done elastic bound before. The only difference is we're going to be gluing in this hidden spine. Okay, so there is all of our signatures. Perfect. Okay, so let's set this aside. Let's bring our journal cover back. Let's see how we're doing. I think we're pretty dry. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish the front and the back. So for the back, I have this. So I'm using just one page. This page has a clock, and then it has a mailbox. I'm going to just glue this down right here. Oh, let's see. I can use my art glitter glue for this. Now for the front, there's this mailbox. And of course, then I had an idea. So what I have is I printed it twice, and then I cut this out that I want to pop up. So I'm going to pop this up, but I also made some slits here and here. And then I just took some of my family names, and I'm just going to kind of tuck some of these in like they're coming out of the mailbox, like so. And then I'll add some flowers and stuff to it. Okay. All right, let's see. Let's use some of these larger square ones. But I think what I want to do is kind of glue these into place, peeking out. Trying to figure out how I want them. I think I want them like that. So I think the first thing I'll do is let's just add some glue under here. So that, and these envelopes, I just used leftover scrapbook paper that I used underneath this red. So this is just scrapbook paper, and I just used the excess of what I had. Okay. And then I thought, pop this up, and then I can just kind of have these peeking out. All right, so let's go ahead and pop this up. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece down first. And then we'll match this up. I'm going to glue this a little bit down so it doesn't just get broken off. So we'll just glue that piece down. And then I think I'm gonna, let's see. Let's do that, and let's tuck this one under here. I just cut these pieces at 3 by 3 and just folded them to make my own envelope. You can use an envelope punch board if you want to. I just cut these. As long as you have square pieces, you shouldn't have any problem doing one. Okay, so that'll be the front cover, but there's also going to be some other things that we'll add to it. So we've got that done and that done. We've got our closure. So I think we are, oh, one more thing I want to do before I put in the inside signatures is I want to add one of these little rings. And then I have some ribbons and things already put aside that I'll put through that, and that'll be the dangle on the outside. So I'll take my little pokey tool, and I made a mark. So I have a little mark right here. You can see that. And so I'm going to make a hole. Make it a little bit big because these are quite large. Let's see if that'll work. And then close them. You want to make sure that the ring is hanging down. And I made sure I was low enough, hopefully, to be able to accommodate both of the brad tongs. Okay, so let's turn this over. And I want to make sure that the ring is going up and down. These are pretty stiff. Okay. Now, that's perfect. Okay, so we have a ring in there. I think what I want to do also is I want to take a piece of this fabric and I want to cover that. So let's do that. just to be sure. Doesn't have to be a very big piece, just something that's going to go over it. And that'll protect it, and also won't be any sharp edges. And then we've got that little bit of peeking out the top. I like that. Kind of looks like one of the books with the headbands that they put in there. Okay, let's make sure this is down good. All right, I think we are ready now to put in our signatures. Okay, so for that I am going to use my Fabri-Tac. And what we want to do is we only want to glue the flaps here and here. So if we line this up and make sure that we get it in the right spot, top, bottom, side to side, and make sure that it's where the book will open, and also make sure we're going the right direction. Just double check this. Then we will add our glue. So this is going to come in just a little bit more than where our crease is here, because we need to be able to have that fit inside there. And then let's just take the Fabri-Tac. And then I like to just really make sure that it's secured. So it's best if it just sits like this to dry. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let this dry. And I also have to put in the inside cover pieces. Okay, I have the inside covers in, and I have that front and back. I just was playing with some poinsettias here. So we got that done. Here is our closures. I shortened these up. They were just a little too long. And then, let me get these poinsettias out of the way that I'm going to use. Made this dangle with bells and some snowflakes. So I think that makes a cute dangle off to the side. I love these vintage looking bells. I just love those. Okay, so we got that. And then I have some of these poinsettias. And these I got from Hobby Lobby. So I think I want to add some of these to kind of fill in around the mailbox and then the corners. Let's see. I have a couple more here. Let's maybe add a couple there. Okay, so let's just finish up with Fabri-Tac. Kind of fun adding some of my my family on here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do a whole bunch of decorating, and then I will come back and we'll do a final flip through. Okay, it's all finished. So let's do just a quick final flip through. So here is the front that we did a lot of this together. Here is our spine where we did some stamping on the rounded spine onto the muslin. And here is the tassel dangle that I created. So I've used some ribbon, I used some beads, I used some bells and little snowflakes with some chain and ran it through one of these brad rings, I think they're called, and then I tied a bow around here. So here is the back, which is beautiful, beautiful papers from Polka Art. So I combined the two kits, Home for Christmas and Victorian Christmas, because I thought the coloring went together well, and I just wanted a bigger journal. I just wanted to make something big. So the closure I put underneath here, we used 3 different ribbons. So let's just open it up and we'll just take a look. What I like about the rounded spine is that it will lay flat. So in here, I added this. This is just scrapbook paper that I had that matched. So I added that onto the front and the back on the inside. And then I'll just quickly flip through all the papers that I used. This comes from, I believe it's from Pink Willow on Etsy. I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to double check, and I will put the right one in the link below if you want to know where I got it from. So here I added a triple pocket with some of the tags. It didn't need a ton of decorating. I added a smaller pocket here with some tags because the pages are so gorgeous. I did add in some parchment paper. I thought that the colors went well. So some of this is from Victorian Christmas and some of it is from Home for Christmas, and it just went so well together. So here I took, these are file folders, and I just glued them on as pockets and then tuck a couple of tags inside. There's a bunch more ephemera. I just actually didn't want to load up too much in here because I wanted to make sure there was some writing space as well. So we have another little pocket here that we can add something to. I think I have some extras that I put up here. So let's just move one of these in here. So there we go. Again, this is the paper that I get from Etsy. The coloring is so gorgeous. I mean, it goes so well together. I just wanted to make something big, and I wanted to show you how to do the rounded spine with the elastic binding. And you still use eyelets, but you won't see them because they're on the hidden spine, and that's how I created this one. So I'm just going to flip through all the pages so you can see all the gorgeous, beautiful papers that's in these kits. Both absolutely gorgeous. So I used all of journal pages from both kits, and then I used some of the ephemera from the At Home for Christmas kit in here. But again, it doesn't need a lot because I wanted to add a lot of places where you can still write or add photos. Like these would be great. You can add photos to some of these pages here. This is what I did do on the front that we did together. These papers, they're just so beautiful. And I wanted to incorporate, because there's a lot of blues in here and reds, and I wanted to incorporate a lot of that. There's greens. So just the combination of all the colors of the papers that I added, and then from both the kits. It just went together so well. More pockets, more little tags. I just tried to fill up as much as I could, mostly of the tags. There's other pockets and things you can keep adding to this. But again, everything is so gorgeous, it doesn't need a whole lot. And I added lots of papers. So it's a pretty thick journal, but lots of places to still write. There's also places to add photos. And then when this year is done, you can always remove these because they are done with elastic bound. Another pocket here with some small tags, and you could add new papers in here if you wished to do that. So pretty. Andrea does an amazing job on creating these beautiful kits. And here I added some tags in here. Everything went so well with this page. I was just really pleased how everything went together so well from both kits. Sometimes, you know, you get a kit and it doesn't quite match, but these just flowed. And I tried to alternate between the pages of both kits, so they're alternating in here, and they still go together so nicely. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. Just love it. Absolutely love it. Here's another one of the file folders. I just added a tag in here. Didn't have any to put over here, but you can always make some more or add a photo in there. That would be perfect to add a photo. Pretty sweet. All these small little tags for the small pockets are amazing. Oh, he's so sweet looking. Just absolutely love how this turned out. And we are near the end. So this is all elastic bound. So they are bound in the center here, but you do not see that on the outside because it's on the hidden spine, which is inside. Let me show you that. And it just goes in here so nicely, and there's plenty of room. So if you wanted to add your own tabs to it, or you wanted to add ribbons or lace or anything else, you could. I made this to be 8 3/4 by 6, and that way it gave a lot of room to add additional things. Sometimes it's all the way to the edge here, and then your lace or whatever peeks out. So if you wanted to add some ruffles or anything like this to you still could. Okay, well that's it for today. God bless you all, and hopefully I'll see you with the next video. So check out these kits from Polka Art Studio that I have linked below. Bye.